We are moving on to the next part of the meeting. Let's bring this meeting to order. This is the Historic District Commission, Town of Fairfield. Today is June 18th. July 9th. I did two meetings with the right date.
Well, 2 out of 3.
Oh my God. Today is July 9th, 2026. The notice of this special hearing was posted on the HDC website. Let's take attendance. Darren Raymond Locke.
Present.
Art Groanis.
Here.
Jim Clark.
I'll come in.
Here. Maura Garrett. Here. George
Johnson
Carr.
Rondo. Go here. Exactly.
Mirabal. And I'm Rosina Negron. The first item in our agenda is a Preservation Connecticut and SHPO materials session. Is there anyone here to give us the presentation? You test?
Yes, we're
Yeah.
here. Hold on 1 second.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to share my screen. Hold on.
The floor is yours.
Hi, Stacy. Hi, Mary.
Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
All right. Can you all see that? Is that
Yes.
there? We
Yes,
go.
ma'am.
Okay. Well, thanks for having us tonight. I'll give us a little intro about what we're going to talk about tonight. We know that you had an interest in substitute materials. So what we've done is we put together some information about specific types of substitute materials, but we really want to hear from you at the end of all this. So we've kept it fairly brief to go over the basics, and then we want to talk about some issues that you might have had recently, if that's okay with you all. Mary's going to go through most everything because she's so good at it. But so I'll hand it over to Mary.
All right. I'll kick the ball to you once in a while, Stacy.
Sure.
So as Stacy said, we will go over a few specific materials and uses, but hopefully this will just provide a framework for your decision making. You know, how to evaluate substitute materials, when to decide to use them, you know, why you might not want to use them. So, and we'll try to make it brief so that, you know, we have some Q&A time, because I know you've already been meeting for a while and you may have more meetings after us. So we'll try to be a blip on your screen. So I guess Stacy's got control. So next slide, please. So, I don't know why I didn't include a slide that kind of starts out with your charge, but it is, you know, you were set up by state enabling legislation to, among other things, review changes to exterior architectural features. And you were put this, the legislation was put in place so that you could be a vital part of preserving the architectural heritage of your municipality. And we have always encouraged commissions to use the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehab in their evaluation process. And the standards are flexible. There's a variety of treatment standards. Rehab is the most flexible. However, they're all pretty clear that we want to replace instead of, we want to repair instead of replace deteriorated architectural features whenever possible. And if it does turn out that you have to replace something, the recommended treatment is to replace with the same material, the type of material, the design, the color, the texture, and any other visual properties. So substitute materials should really be used on a limited basis. And really as a last resort. And unfortunately, you know, in my line of work, that's usually the first line of fire when people call me, is that they don't even consider the fact that the original materials, even though they're intact, you know, might have value. They just assume that the course of action is for replacement. So, but that's not what we recommend. Okay, I guess next slide. So before, you decide on a COA application, or in your decision-making process, make sure the material is sound, because and I don't want to keep on harping on the same example, but I've had people say, I got to replace my windows because the glass is cracked. Well, that's, so you replace the glass, you don't replace the whole window. So are the existing materials, can they be replaced? Can they be repaired? Good Lord, Stacy. I don't know, I need a rubber band to snap every time I say replace. Is the existing material sound? Also, for example, if you did have to replace, are the original materials available? That's another reason to avoid replacing. And is the craftsmanship still available? Not just to ensure that the material can be worked, but craftsmanship is also just an example of the past, and when we get rid of examples of workmanship and craftsmanship, we no longer have that point of reference. So it's important to preserve not just the materials, but the workmanship itself. And then again, you want to make sure that the proposed replacement will match in color, texture. I put absorption here, but I really mean almost the opposite of that, more like flexibility, plasticity of the original material, because hopefully material isn't absorbing moisture or things like that. But I mean the same sort of expansion contraction. I need to figure out a better word than that. Has the property owner provided design drawings, specifications for the replacement feature? It's super important to understand exactly what you're considering and what you might be approving in the end. And so samples of the material itself are very important. And if you can get examples of the replacement material that's already in use on an existing historic building, especially hopefully maybe in use for 5 to 10 years, that's very helpful too, because that will give you an idea of, something might look beautiful the first day it's put in place, but then as time goes on, certain materials can fade and yellow and crack and delaminate. And so you want to make sure that the material can stand up. And 5 to 10 years is really nothing compared to 100 or 200 years, with many original materials. But it's the least someone can provide, so you have some idea of the longevity of the product. Next slide, please. And also, if you decide that you will approve a replacement, unfortunately, a lot of product companies, they sell the product, and they have somebody that'll install it, but they don't have someone that knows how to install something in an historic building. So going back to the replacement window, sure, they can slap that window right in the hole, but what if it doesn't match the opening? What if it needs to be caulked, or what if the house is settled so that it's not even plumb? So you need experienced people that know how to keep the house sound after the replacement material has been put in, installed. And also, you need to be careful that if the replacement material is married with some historic material, you want to make sure it doesn't compromise the performance of the historic material. As I said earlier, you don't want to have the expansion and contraction rate differing. Otherwise, that will that can just cause damage, not just to the original material, but the structure of your house itself. And one of the fallbacks, or if the work is reversible, that can lend you some insurance that if the new material fails, you can take it out without damaging the original structure or original materials. Next slide, please. So again, what is the current condition of the feature to be replaced? I always ask for a very compelling argument when I am reviewing grant applications or tax credit applications. I want to, you need to describe why this original material needs to be replaced. Is it sawdust? Is it missing? Is it just beyond repair? But again, it has to be a really sound argument.
And you should keep in mind, I think, Mary, sorry to jump in, but
No, go ahead,
a lot
jump
of
in.
your applicants are going to be getting tremendous amount of pressure from their contractors. Maybe they're going to be getting inundated with advertisements saying replace, replace, replace. And part of what your job is as the HDC is to educate them, you know, and to let them know that there are alternatives out there, because they genuinely might not know in some cases. So giving them an understanding of this and providing them with the resources that we'll show you at the end is always helpful.
For sure. You're definitely a resource for your property owners. And it's nice if they can rely on you to be the voice of education and be the voice of experience. Because as Stacy said, yeah, I'm not blaming people for not knowing that, replacement isn't the best line of option, the best option, but that's why it's good that you're there to kind of help them. Next slide. So we're going to talk a little bit about the different types of projects you might see that might propose new materials like windows, siding, porches and trim, and roof replacement. Next slide. So Stacy found this study. Do you want to talk
a while ago? Sure. So this, we've been scouring the internet for some time trying to find a good sort of compendium of advice to give people. I mean, we know we can keep throwing the standards at our historic district commissions over and over, but we wanted to find some sort of study that was taken across the country, and this one that was conducted by the city of Columbus, Ohio, way back in 2013. It's old now, but it still applies. Really took a good look at a number of historic district commissions and their decision-making process over throughout the country. So they broke it down into several groups. And as Mary goes through these next subjects, she'll also talk about what the study here found and how a lot of the historic district commissions voted throughout the country again. So it'll talk about, at that time, what were increasing concerns about sustainability and how that was just really kind of starting to enter into the conversation. It's become much more important now. Expense, always a big part of the decision-making process, whether you're supposed to take that into account or not. You're human, you live next door to these folks, you're gonna be subject to hearing about that and being sympathetic to it, of course, and being slightly more flexible in some situations, potentially towards the use of alternative or substitute materials. But as you'll find, not that flexible.
and we may not agree in some cases.
Exactly. Yeah.
But okay, so let's go.
We'll start with windows.
Yeah. And as Stacy mentioned, salesmen go door to door. I'm selling you vinyl siding, selling you replacement windows, selling you all manner of home improvement products. But this first statistic I actually got from a replacement window person, that only 10% of your typical home's heat is lost through the windows. And so when people are worried about energy efficiency, when we do have some studies that you can look at, you need to remind them that if you've got an original window, really all you need to do is some weather stripping, some painting, some new glazing, tighten it up, and it will provide as much, if not more, energy efficiency and human comfort, because that window has settled with the house. And as I mentioned earlier, the gaps can be easily filled in without making the window look lopsided. So it's just important to know that there's a lot you can do to rehab a window without having to replace it. And then most of the replacement windows that people are being sold are not really, they don't have longevity. I mean, some of these advertisements that Stacy popped into the slide, some of these are for replacing windows that are you know, those old 20-year-old windows, you know, they're replacing windows that have already been replaced. And honestly, you know, when we see this all the time, if you would just rehab the existing window, that can be a 100-year guarantee, not a 10-year guarantee. And you've still got your beautiful original window, and that's important. I guess that's it. Unless you have anything to add, Stacy, we can move on. So replacement windows can come in wood, you know, new wood, aluminum clad wood, vinyl. You need to consider the size, the glazing pattern. If someone has, you know, 6/6 windows, you don't want somebody proposing 1/1 windows. You know, you want to at least have the same glazing pattern, same muntin profile. You know, people seem to love, you know, grills within the glass. That's not good. You know, we don't want to see that. That doesn't maintain the historic profile. And glass characteristics. You want to look at that too. The Park Service does have a standard for replacement windows. It's pretty strict, but I think if someone were, you know, to select a, you know, good replacement window, they're not free and they're not cheap. So if people are worried about money, you know, I think really the better way to go is to just rehab your existing window. It's just easier and a little less expensive, depending on what needs to be done, you know.
But in most cases, we have found in real time that in most cases it's possible. And I think, again, there are incentives that you can take advantage of and you can direct your applicants to when it comes to repairing or rehabbing existing windows versus full replacement. Even, you know, replacing in kind, there might be some incentives, but if it really, you have to really prove that you need to do it. But there are the historic homes tax credit program that Mary can get into a little bit. And if you start just popping out the windows, which are the character defining features of most houses, it doesn't matter the style, the windows are going to be character defining. So I think we bang on and on about windows, but they really matter. So and then there are options. So that's why they're always
they matter, and yeah, and they really are the easiest to keep and maintain. Yeah.
And as you can see from the photo, the easiest to really change the character of a building if they go wrong too. So
yeah. Okay, moving on. Doors and garage doors. They also come in a variety of materials. I think garages are hard. I think, you know, because I guess it depends on what the garage is being used for, what the original outbuilding looks like. You know, the study did show that some commissions were more concerned about the design versus the material itself. You know, so I think with doors and garages, the architectural character is very important. I mean, the material is super important. If you've got an original door, you do not want to replace that. You're not going to find a better product, you know. But you also don't want, you know, to take a door, I mean, and you know, add side lights where there were no side lights, you know, or take a transom away, you know, where there was a transom and things like that. So design seemed to be more important to the commissions than materials. And, you know, I think a lot of, especially garages, have undergone changes over the years already. And so they're kind of hard to, it's important to remember that your outbuildings are as important as the main, as the main building. And I only say this because I was getting a number of demolition notices from a local historic district commission, and they just kept on. When, as you all know, when you decide to approve a COA for a demolition, you have to notify our office. And I was getting a lot of demo notices for garages, and I finally just had to stop and say, hey, you know, just remember the garages are as important, you know, or are important to the main building. And so just don't forget that they are important. this study kind of showed that it was more the scale and design than the actual materials used. Do you have something to add to that, Stacy? Do you have any?
No, I mean,
that-
again, many garages face the street by their very nature, right? That's how they are designed. And I think in older homes in particular, they face the street. So you're going to come across the issue of garage doors. Now, if you have an overhead garage door, more likely than not, it's going to date from a time maybe after the 50s, right? So, or after the 60s. So the materials being used might be a little bit more flexible on something like a garage door, because your replacement in kind is the goal, right? If you're following the standard. So there might be a little bit of flexibility on garage doors, but again, as Mary said, being compatible with the design is really most important when it comes to that, right? I mean, materials matter always, but I think with garage doors, if you already have something that might be metal clad or something like that, then you could go with that again.
Yeah, I would not recommend an original wood carriage house being, rehabbed with replacement materials, if you've got that, if you're lucky enough to have that.
Right. Of course. Yeah.
Don't get us wrong in that regard.
Yeah, of course.
Siding, good old vinyl, not good old vinyl, but vinyl. The composite, I guess we don't want to use name brands, but fiber cement, composite siding, and then new wood, none of which I think are a good idea to use on the house, except selectively. I've had applicants come and just want to take off all the siding on the house, and it's not usual that you would need to take all of your siding off and replace all of your siding. So I think as far as siding is concerned, you should really be wary. You should really recommend selective replacement in kind, because the problem is new wood isn't really as good, as the stuff that's already on there. So you really need to be careful. And as you can see in this example, the siding is very character defining for the house. So you don't want to take shingle siding and then replace it with lap. This is one that you've got to tread lightly with. And a lot of people say, they'll say, oh, well, it needs to be all replaced because the paint is failing. Well, scrape and paint it. There's often an easier solution and a better solution than complete replacement. Okay. So moving on to the types of
Or the bad siding.
Yeah. So I guess there were pros and cons with cementitious, but as you can see, a lot of it is composed of water, wood pulp, and Portland cement, which can be really heavy, and so as it says here, the pros are they're available in a number of sizes, shapes, and finishes, and you can get the lap siding versus the grain siding. It does need to be painted or stained regularly, just like real wood does. And it can be, the way it's installed, it can cause gaps, and then you've got moisture problems, because I don't know that they actually caulk, or seal gaps when they install this stuff. And depending on what kind of house you have, if you're hanging cement on the side of it after having wood, I don't know, but we're wondering if it might cause structural issues with the house itself, adding that much drag on the exterior.
And I met with someone recently who used a product that will remain unnamed, but a newer one of these composite materials. And we've heard some good things about it, I guess. But this developer purchased a number of houses and used this material on the side of the house, and it was actually twisting. So it was failing in a way that was completely unexpected, because it just, the house isn't plumb. the material was, and it didn't have the ability to move with the house. So it was twisting and kind of popping off the house, and they were regretting their decision deeply. So I think unexpected performance is something to keep in mind here always.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Next, I guess. And then roof replacement. I mean, obviously, you're going to replace your roof every, if you've got a traditional roof every 30 to 40 years, 30 years. If you've got a slate roof, hopefully every 75 to 100 years. Stacy, did you had, I don't know if this was your slide or my slide, but, the different options out there are, real slate, cedar, composite, metal, asphalt shingles.
And it's important to keep in mind that there's a lot of push for metal right now, standing seam metal roofs, and we're seeing that all throughout the state. And it's just simply not a historically accurate material in this part of the country. Certainly, I think in Vermont, you see some of that stuff. Where I was trained in Georgia and South Carolina, we saw a lot of it. Virginia has a lot of it historically, but it's just not used on a 17th century or 18th century house like you see here. And they didn't use that. But, we do get proposals for people to install. My favorite house in my town of Woodbury, they put a standing seam metal roof on it and they ruined it. So, I mean, truly, that wasn't a matter of opinion. It really looks like a different house now. It reads as a different style of house. So ruin maybe isn't the right word, but they've changed the character of the house, is if I were to be just plain speaking.
And that's a good point to consider in the district, because there's material that's historically accurate for the house itself, but you don't want to start a trend where all of a sudden your historic houses have standing seam metal roofs, because that just wasn't how they were designed. That's not their architecture history, right? And so it's the house itself, but then it's also, as Stacy said, what's accurate for the region that you're living in. You don't want to introduce an inaccurate material to the district. So something to consider. So especially with cedar roofs, they don't have as long a lifespan. Well, especially now. I mean, the original cedar roofs obviously lasted a lot longer, but eventually you're going to have to replace. And unfortunately, if the new cedar isn't, seasoned properly or selected properly on site, it can fail sooner than you would expect. There's the traditional 75 to 100-year slate. There is a real slate product that doesn't have as long a lifespan, but it is real slate. So if it's a little less expensive, but it's still real. There's the plastic rubber slate, which doesn't really look like real slate, and it gets really bizarrely shiny, and then it can dull and scratch. So then it really doesn't look like slate. So this is where you want to look at a product that's been in place for a long time to see what it looks like after a while. So yeah, I guess.
And there are a lot of slate alternatives out there, and some of them do contain, as Mary said, slate ground up. So again, the best thing you can do is encourage your applicants to repair a slate roof. We just had a situation where we had that in another town, and we encouraged the Historic District Commission to do that, and they were successful. So I think repair of a slate roof is nearly always possible, or small portions of replacement. You don't need to do a wholesale replacement in many cases.
Exactly. That's a good point. Most of the slate roof projects that come to our office are not entire replacements, which of course can be costly and and I think some property owners might be relieved to know that, selective replacement is sometimes the best solution. So definitely this is where, what's the condition of the current feature? If 3/4 of the roof are still intact, there's no reason to replace the entire roof. In this case, I mean, if you have like an asphalt shingle roof, you don't want to replace 1/4 of it, But anyway, so porches, trims, and brackets. We do see a lot of polyvinyl chloride, which is, shiny. I don't even know. It's polyvinyl chloride. It's a shiny vinyl product. And the problem is, especially with porch columns, texture is important. If you've got wooden columns, you're still going to see the grain coming through. A nice painted porch column has some character to it. And when you replace it with a shiny column, it doesn't exude the same historical or architectural character as originally. And so we wear, and it's hard because, columns do get, especially columns that don't have protected bases, it's hard. But this is definitely an instance where replacing in kind is I think the better choice. I think that's it. Porch floors. I think a study, I think more and more, or at least back then, and I think now, commissions are more inclined to approve a synthetic material for the porch floor because it's not really visible or as visible. I'm not saying that I recommend it. I could see why commissioners might be a little bit more flexible in that regard because porch floors get a lot of traffic. But on the other hand, wood is very sturdy and painted wood is very sturdy. So that's a case by case basis. But this study, I think, did show that commissioners were more likely to approve the flooring, not the columns and the balustrades and things like that. But that can raise its own problems again, because if you've got original wood columns sitting on a synthetic floor, I don't know what that does. I don't know, they're going to expand and contract at different rates. Moisture is going to slide off the synthetic floor. It might pool around the column. There's things like that to consider. Did you have anything, Stacey?
No, I mean, I agree with Mary. Replacement of any material, even flooring, is going to essentially be irreversible, because once someone goes with an alternative material, the likelihood of them replacing it with wood in the future is going to be very slim, right? So you're still changing the craftsmanship and the original intent of the design of the feature for a practical reason in this case, but not necessarily recommended by preservation organizations or the SHPO. So,
right.
Yeah.
And
we would
again,
recommend it.
Yeah. And just because you can't see it, I mean, you're still stewards of these historic properties. And I know that your purview only extends to what's visible, from a public way, but changing a single feature like that can have repercussions on the rest of what is visible. So it's, something to consider. Okay.
Back to railings again. We've kind of covered this,
and
but
especially with if you've got turned spindle balustrades, railings, you need to protect those at all costs, I think, because you're just and again, I know it might be hard to find the craftsmanship to turn a new spindle, but you are not going to find a plastic component that's going to look anything like it. They're not as attenuated as the historic features. They're just not the same, no matter what anybody says. So, I would discourage replacing these with anything other than wood. And
Right.
making sure that you can get the exact same design and profile as the original.
Yeah. And as
Um,
you can see, no commissions allowed vinyl, the use of PVC to replicate these features. So
yeah,
even on secondary elevations. So
good.
there. Yeah. Good. So what can you use instead? What can you recommend to your applicants? You know, as Mary said, wood is not performing in the same way that it used to, particularly if you have a soft species of wood, but there is a new type of process that's coming into, it's becoming more popular. And it's, I think I'm pronouncing this right, acetylated wood, but it is, it's using a soft, fast growing pine, radiata pine, and it's basically pickling it with a vinegar compound. And what it does is it performs exactly like regular wood. It's not like a pressure treated wood even, but it performs like a pressure treated wood, but like a real wood. So you can stain it, you can paint it, you can, it'll expand and contract normally, predictably. And I think the idea is that it's becoming much, much more popular. The National Trust uses this type of wood on all of their properties. You can turn it, you can, as I said, sand it, paint it. So, and it resists insect damage as well. So, and rot. So it's really a very sort of cutting edge, but you can find it at a lot of the local lumber yards now, not at like Home Depot or Lowe's, but you can certainly find it at some of the higher end lumber yards. So I am giving the trade name for these because they're recommended. So Akoya is one of them. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, but it's Kebony. It's Kebony. And that's a different type of treated wood. And it sounds like it's made up, but it's furfurated wood. But that's a different process, similar and related. So there are options in addition to just hardwood. You know, it's very expensive, but repairing existing features is always number one. If you have to replace it, replacing it with a wood product is number two. And this is an option.
So we're just going to give a few examples of substitute material performance. The first, this is on a historic building in Connecticut, obviously. These window hoods were all fabricated of PVC, and it started to fail in less than 10 years. I don't know if you can tell from the picture, but it's delaminating. The white part is exposing whatever was underneath the first layer of vinyl, whatever it is. So it clearly didn't have staying power. And so probably not, well, I would not recommend it. But this is a case where you can see something in situ and see what the performance actually was.
And it's a coating, so it can't be repaired. These just have to sort of
right now
stay like this now.
Yeah,
which is really unfortunate.
Too bad. Yeah. We get a lot of requests, you know, because steeples are way up there, right? You know, and it costs money to take them off and fix them and put them back on. But if the material's not going to last as even as long as a paint job, you know, what's the point? You know, if it's going to chip and crack and warp and yellow and cause damage, you know, to any original feature below, it's just not worth it. I mean, so you got up there and you thought you were putting, you know, one and done, as opposed to, you know, painting it, you know, and now you're right back where you started, but probably even worse, you know. So again, this is an example of making sure this product will last. Because I will say that I don't think the National Trust or the Park Service approves PVC, but there is a little leniency for each feature that's way up in the air. That's hard to get to. It's hard to see, frankly. But you can sure see this now, so it's important. It's important to know what the longevity of the material is, and how and what effect its failure might have on the original parts of the building.
And this one's from me. This was a barn right on a state route, part of a beautiful sort of grouping, including a Victorian house, this barn, and another 2 barns, I think, on the property. And the owner had a cedar shake roof that was failing and failing pretty badly, so they needed to replace it for sure. It's listed on the National Register. We went out and consulted with them and said that even asphalt would be preferable to a standing seam metal roof, because the Park Service does approve asphalt as a replacement for cedar in some cases, right, Mary? I'm not going off the rails on that. I just want, I always kind of double check myself on that one. But yeah, it's a proven material. It's standard the test of time. We know how it performs. And so we recommended that. Replacement with cedar shake was going to be over $100,000 for this barn. So not viable. And so I found out the other day, drove by it, they chose metal. And it really does alter not just the barn, but the character of that whole grouping. It really draws attention to it. It makes it look almost like a modern structure. It just doesn't, it really changes the feel and the character of that whole sort of section of the roadway now, which is, it wasn't predictable to me. I didn't think, we certainly didn't recommend the metal. We recommended something else, but it had a bigger impact than I thought it would even have. So something to consider.
Okay, so to sort of recap, when you're reviewing applications, what's the rationale for replacement versus repair? And, be a friend and a resource to the property owner, because as Stacy mentioned, and I guess as I mentioned too, and I don't want to be like dramatic, but some people fall victim to salespeople that convince them that they really need to replace sometimes perfectly sound features in their homes. What's the known performance of the product? We've seen some examples that are, not satisfactory in the long run. What are the climate considerations? Stacy mentioned that, in Georgia where she was educated, and Virginia where I grew up, standing seam metal roofs are not uncommon, but that's in a whole different sort of climate wise, a different region of the country. So, what are the impacts on the building itself? And is it reversible? Does it truly resemble the original material in appearance, profile, and feel? And definitely the best way to find this out is to ask for samples, look at spec sheets, see the sample on an existing historic building that's been there for a while. Just get as much information as you can on these types of applications. I guess that's it. And I guess people always argue that, well, it looks exactly the same, and it just doesn't always look exactly the same. And even if it did look exactly the same, your charge is to preserve architectural features, the ones that were there on the house when it was built. So it doesn't really matter. The looks aren't exactly the primary consideration. Integrity and original, material is really the primary concern. Nothing is maintenance free. They won't tell you that, or if you read the fine print. I did go online and look at, spec sheets for like vinyl and other things. And you do have to maintain it at least on a yearly basis, cleaning it, especially vinyl. vinyl will get biogrowth quickly. And if you want your house looking, spotted and moldy, that's fine. But otherwise, you're going to have to get up there and clean it, on a regular basis. And the material, nothing lasts forever. It might last forever. It's not going to look good forever. And then when you have to replace it, it's going to end up in the landfill. So any arguments for sustainability are out the window when it sits in the landfill for the next, hundreds of years. And again, once you replace an original feature, you've started a cycle. You're going to have to replace it again. And again, your charge is stewardship of these historic resources and their architectural defining features. So, any final thoughts from you, Stacy?
No, and the two examples we show here are,
Oh, yeah.
somewhat extreme, but they're real. So, when you look at things from far away, they tend to look pretty good, but up close, they do look some products can look quite Disney-like, I guess, or fake. They're cartoonish almost up close. And I'm driving around with a bunch of fake cedar samples in the back of my car that are really shockingly bad, and they looked great in the publication. So, something just to consider. So, and these are the resources that we can send. The report that we cited here, Preservation Brief 16, the use of substitute materials, certainly the handbook that we are, Mary and I are perpetually updating, and our contact information here. That
So,
should be it.
wow, that took a little longer than we thought, but if
Yeah.
you'd like to do some Q&A or anything.
First of all, thank you very much for the presentation. This was very helpful.
Thank
So,
you.
any questions?
I have a bunch, but I have two at the risk that Art might kill me.
Okay, Art.
So the first one, I'm going to try to stay away from brand names, but I know we don't, oversee paint color and things, but there are ceramic elastomeric coatings that do go on houses, like Rhino Shield, that I know other historic preservation councils down in the south have to deal with quite a lot. Is there anything you can tell us about that? I know they changed the dew point of the house stops breathing the way it was meant to, and these are things that are not readily reversible.
Well, I can tell you, we see a lot of properties that have had Rhino Shield, and they need to repaint quite often.
Really?
We do not recommend it.
It's
Yeah.
it's like vinyl coating your house, and so
Yeah.
that's why you're seeing there's probably interior damage you're not seeing,
Mhm.
but if your house is not breathing, which it's not, you're bound to start seeing some moisture issues.
Yeah.
If
And
not
we see
visible,
it fail too, right? I mean, do you see that,
Yeah.
Mary? We see a lot of them that just fail because they bubble up with moisture on the outside too. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
And then my last question. We have a lot of varied districts and varied types of houses in Fairfield. We don't have districts that are very uniform like Roxbury or Weathersfield. We have historic houses that have been expanded over time, multiple times. So there's very often an old house with a much newer addition on the back or several newer additions. And I think one thing that this commission is constantly up against is dealing with the restoration of the historic home or changes to the historic home and then changes to that addition on the back, which I think presents some varied problems because, SOI standards are different depending on how you approach things. So the question is hard for me to phrase, but I'm going to hope that you understand what I'm asking with the materials that are being used on those two very different portions of a house potentially.
Wow. Okay. Well, and this question goes up not only in the context of post historic additions, but also just how do you review a house in the district that was built in 1950 as opposed to 1850. And so I mean, it's obviously not original materials or original design. So you could review it just in the context of not new construction exactly, but just are whatever the proposed change is compatible with the historic structure. Compatible, but still differentiating. Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, yeah, no. It depends on what the work is that's being proposed, but
Yeah.
But like say you've got an addition from 1970, although that's 50 years old. Say you've got an addition from 1980, whatever changes are being proposed, you just want to make sure that they're congruent, just as you would a new construction. If somebody wanted to build a new outbuilding, is it compatible in design and material? It doesn't have to mimic, but it has to be compatible in scale, design, and differentiate, but still kind of honor the original structure. I don't know, Stacy, what do you think?
I think
It's a tough one.
it is a tough one because it's a case by case, evaluation. And if you have, as Mary said, like a 1950s edition, it might be representing a different style. So say you had an 1830s house and then you have a colonial revival edition from 1912. You really would want everyone to replace whatever is being replaced in kind. You'd want to follow the Secretary of the Interior standards very closely. If you had a 1980s edition, this might be an opportunity to have something more compatible in your, visible in your district. So I think, as Mary said, if you sort of replace what you have in kind, take the opportunity to make the replacement as compatible with the surrounding area, think about the cumulative impact of the changes. Just always keep that in mind, because no matter what the change is, no matter whether you're reverting to something earlier, you don't want to create a false historic appearance on anything. You don't want to, create a glass. You could create a glass cube. Technically, the Park Service says you could, but it has to be something that's compatible in scale and size, and I think massing with the district. Those are your larger considerations I'd keep in mind, right? We always are very concerned about whatever's happening not overpowering the original structure. So if you're talking about a secondary part of the building, make sure it doesn't draw attention away from the original portion of the structure. Those are sort of like the overarching guidelines we use, but really it would be a case-by-case basis of everything that comes across your desk being a different opportunity to debate and make that decision as a commission. I know that sounds like a cop-out, but
It doesn't. I appreciate
yeah, and just because, I mean, it like say you have a 1980s edition, and say it was really, well, I want, yeah. Say it was not compatible in scale, design, materials, blah, blah, blah. And if the property owner wants to actually not replace anything in kind, but make actual changes, again, that's a case by case basis. But if the new design, that's why you would treat it almost like new construction. If the new design is more compatible, then, I think you could feel comfortable approving. It just really depends on what materials are being proposed and how it's going to live with the original structure. And make sure the property owner is actually doing good stuff to the original house. You don't want to neglect the historic portion you don't want to spend a lot of time on the new part at the expense of the old part. So if they're good stewards of the original house, there's a balance. Just treat it almost like new construction, I guess.
Cool, thank you.
Ooh. Those are tough.
But my question is really quick. I just need some clarification here. I'm hearing, replace in kind for materials. Yet on every single category you went through, there was a variety of material that could be used to include composite or, let's say, non-wood products. So with quite a few examples of cases that have been brought before us that use materials that are up here, but we went back to in kind. So I guess I want to get some sort of consistency here.
Oh, definitely in kind. This whole presentation was to kind of make you aware of what's out there in substitute materials, which is kind of impossible because there's always something new coming up.
Right.
We did not intend this to say, hey, here's something they could use. No, we definitely want to do the repair rather than replace. And if you have to replace in kind. But I think this presentation was sort of to give you just a framework for what questions to ask, try to learn more about what products are out there, hopefully learn why certain products just really you should not use at all. I know roofs are kind of hard, like, why would you approve asphalt shingle to replace a cedar roof? And it really kind of boils down to, asphalt roofs have been around for over 100 years. They're tested. They are compatible or congruent with this region. Standing seam metal, are not. So it's just, I hope we didn't give the impression that this was all about here's substitute materials.
Yeah, sorry about that if that was the case. It was meant to give you what would come across your
Okay.
from applicants. Yeah, that's not options, but what you might see come across for you. Yeah.
So I just have, are you set?
Yep.
Okay, so I just want to go back real quick, back to your point about roofs. So, because you went through it and you have the big focus on replacing slate. We don't see a whole lot of slate. What we primarily see, and particularly we've had a lot of emphasis of people wanting to actually go from asphalt to cedar. And your point is well taken, that cedar isn't the same quality as it used to be. So I'm just confirming what Mary, you just said a minute ago. It seems like, metal doesn't really work. We don't see a lot of slate. Cedar, so asphalt really is, in your mind, a good option.
It is. What if the original roofing material was cedar?
We don't know, right?
Yeah,
We're looking
okay.
at, most of these houses are either have cedar or asphalt when, people are buying them.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing too. And I hate to keep harping on the standing seam metal, but I mean, a lot of people want to change the material, and it might be a natural material, but it's still not appropriate because it was never on the house. And again, asphalt shingles may never have been on the house either, but well, in this case they are, but just try not to put something on that house that was never there, and especially not something that would never be on a building in the.
So just a question, historically, houses 1830, was it most likely slate originally?
It was most likely cedar. It was most likely a shake of some sort. Yeah, I would think so. Yeah. I mean, and if people really want to use cedar and they find it within their budget, then sure, I would encourage that. Just, if you can again serve as a resource and make sure they oil the roof and make sure they maintain it, it can last a little bit longer. And also maybe picking, we just discussed this before tonight, picking the right type of cedar. We can't tell you what that is because we haven't done enough research most recently, because that changes based on what's available. But I've been hearing Canadian cedar is really the best right now. And I don't know exactly what that means, and I'd like to get you more information on that. But, helping your applicants pick something that's going to last as long as possible might be the best option. But yeah, it would have been a wooden, shake roof.
One thing on standing seams is that we see
requests for standing seams in very flat roofs where there's a pitch problem because maybe asphalt or cedar cedar or asphalt aren't really as good because you got a very low, slow pitch. And they don't want to go to something that's like tar paper. We discussed that. So they go stay, or it's an accent. Maybe it's over a doorway, or it's just a portion of a house. So standing seam everywhere, I don't think we see a lot of that. But what we do see is some standing seams on some very shallow pitch roofs, or standing seams on an accent, maybe a porch or a small addition, or and I you know, and I know we've approved them, but I'm interested in your feedback.
Yeah.
Would those be modern houses with the
No, no.
more shallow pitch, or are they older homes?
No, somebody puts a dormer roof. I'm thinking of the house down on Harbor Road. A house down on Harbor Road at the very end. There was a hole. They put a dormer on, and it had a very shallow pitch on the roof. And the choices were felt or some other material or a standing seam. They went with the standing seam. That was a better alternative. Cedar would not have really been a good idea.
No.
Too shallow.
Mhm.
And asphalt, they didn't really want asphalt. So
Yeah.
So
So do you know what the original material was?
there wasn't a dormer there before.
Addition.
It was.
Oh,
an
it's on the
addition.
dormer. Oh, okay.
Dormer, it's a dormer addition.
Oh.
You saying it's copper?
Yeah, sometimes they do copper.
Yeah, they wanted a copper standing seam.
Yeah, sometimes they do copper. aluminum.
Yeah, it's a copper standing
And
seam.
there's copper
Yeah.
standing seam on 18th century colonial,
Yeah.
but like George said, it's on, a portico or a dormer.
Yeah, it isn't,
You know,
it is-
that looks pretty appropriate.
it isn't like a.
Yeah, I
gallery.
mean, you see that historically, even on, if you look at like a Second Empire house with a,
I wanted to throw it because I don't want to categorize standing seam as standing seam everything. I think you're speaking to, almost like a galvanized standing seam.
yes.
Those green roofs in
Yeah.
Vermont and New Hampshire.
Yeah, that's where you're.
That's not what we're talking.
I just want to make sure we're all. You
Yeah.
feed the information standing seam. We'll have somebody come in here with a standing seam and everybody will go, we can't do that. Well,
No,
No,
No.
yeah.
you got it. It's those larger sort of almost enameled roofs that
Okay,
we're
I just
talking
wanted
about.
wanted
Yeah.
to-
Just that, George.
You. She does it all the time. I'm not here. She's not
Right
here.
here.
She's not here to defend herself.
I heard it.
Any other questions, comments? Well, thank you very, very much
Thank you.
for the presentation. We appreciate it. And
Pleasure.
keep in touch for some other presentations.
Another twist.
So,
Of course. Of course.
Thank you.
Anytime.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good
Have a
night.
good evening.
You too. So moving on, just for the
Can't leave.
commissioners that have been sitting here for over 3 hours, will you need a little 5-minute break? Or shall we continue?
Gotta get going because I'm.
Some people just walk out.
Sounds good, which is fine.
You know what, George? I'll take you down and I'll take you out at Penny's.
Oh, God, I love it.
So
Some vice chairman.
moving forward,
Well, look at something earlier.
pre-application discussion. The first item is the property located at 319 Harbor Road, Southport, Connecticut. Is there anyone here to present this pre-application?
Yes. Jay Blade from Mark Ridley Architects. Yeah.
Yes. Hold them up.
Vanna Whitehead.
There were, take that.
Okay, go on.
And thank you for everyone that waited patiently. I can put it thank you.
I'm like part of the commission now. So,
Work with me enough.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully this isn't too low.
Nope, it's good.
All right. So 319 Harbor Road, we had a project that we were going to do here, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
They've sold the property and now we have a new owner. We did a walkthrough with a number of commissioners, about the idea is to take down the existing house and put a new house here. Currently, there's a house, guest house, and a boathouse. Our proposal would be to take down both of these, leave the boathouse, eventually rehab it, but because it's in the flood zone, we have a whole bunch of other issues with that, that building as it sits. How familiar are you guys with this house, the existing house?
Very familiar.
Okay, so I don't need, you don't need the pictures?
I would like to see the pictures.
Yeah.
If you could just hold them up really quick.
Sure.
That's the boathouse.
And two.
Okay.
So this is from the road. There's the two-car garage right on the road, then the house kind of ambles down the hill. It's a very steep site from side to side and going all the way down to the harbor. This is from the back, looking up at the rear of the house. And this is up on the patio, just looking at the state of how the house is right now. Conceptually, take down the house and put a new house that everything would be zoning compliant. Right now, the existing, sorry, but this is upside down from what I just showed you. But the road is here, harbor's back here. Setbacks are here, the existing house footprint is here, so we're within the front setback, we're within the side setback. The guest house is here, both houses here, so what we'd like to do is pull it back from the road, be compliant with our setbacks. Work with the building height, the average grade, number of stories. Coverage right now with the existing 3 buildings is at about 13.5. We're allowed 15, we'll be going up to the 15 with what we're doing. The idea is come off Harbor Road, auto court, garages off the side so the garage doors are not facing the street anymore. Main body of the house here, step down in the back, pool, step down again as this slopes down to the harbor. This previously would have been our CAM line, but now anything on the water has to go to CAM anyway, so it doesn't, I mean, it'll help when talk to CAM, but we're gonna have to go to CAM.
Quick question.
Sure.
What's the age of the existing house?
The existing house on the tax card says 1919, and then the 2 outbuildings, 1939.
Okay.
I don't know how much of the original 1919 is there, because obviously that garage with those garage doors and stuff like that is
The
not
back
19.
porch is way after 19.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And so I'm not really, you could see it on the tax card, but I don't know. And I don't think they have on the tax card when all those additions were put.
Right,
No, some of them should be condemned, right?
it is a lethal house.
I've been there, it's not dangerous at all.
No,
It's brutal.
yeah, and
It's the Tombs old house, right?
Ann was a very different,
Yeah.
and David.
Do you want me to walk you through the plans, or do you want to just see the outside?
We only need to see the outside.
Yeah, only
Okay.
the outside.
All right, so from the road, conceptually, the road is up here at about 56. The new auto court would be down at 52, so about 4 feet coming down to the road. We come in and then we step down inside. So the garage volume, a bedroom volume here, and then the main house. Unsure about all of our materials. We're thinking about clapboard for the siding, wood windows, wood shutters. Roof is still undetermined, either slate or wood. And then we're thinking about painted brick chimneys on this side. Some of this stuff is still, they're still thinking about how we deal with the front door and whether we do a little flat roof with, I'm not sure exactly, but we're working on it.
No stand to be seen.
No standing. Good to know.
Over the front.
So then, this is showing our cross slope. So we'd have fieldstone base on portions of it. And then as we go down the hill, the house kind of sits nestled onto the edge. The rear from the water side because we've got such a steep slope. We have our pool level here, then we have a stone wall for at the pool. Our lower level with a covered porch above. Our main living space on the first floor, screen porch off the side. Second floor and some covered porch here, and then dormers in the attic space. There has been talk with the owners about maybe making that more of a shed roof to take even more advantage of the views, but we're in the middle of that right now. And then here's the last side. This is looking, there's a little intermittent drainage stream coming down through here. So this is our screen porch. Again, the stone walls that would kind of nestle it into the site. Fiber, which are brick chimneys, probably painted white. So we're looking to the board to see if we're in the right direction before we keep going, because we've got to go to conservation, we've got to go to CAM, we got everybody in front of us, but we don't want to do all that if we're barking up the wrong tree.
Darren, any discussion?
Can you put the back view on
Sure.
again, please? So I really like the front elevation. I have nothing to add there. The back elevation I like, it just feels a little bit busy. If you do that shed, I'd be interested in seeing what that shed roof looks like on the actual roof.
Okay,
That those little dormers.
Yeah.
Making that shed, just to simplify it a little bit.
sure.
That's my real.
Yeah, it is a little busy.
There's just a
Well,
lot,
that's
and I
all
know
right.
it's hard to tell from a drawing.
It is, because these guys
but
jump
it's-
out in front of that.
Well, plus it's in this scale.
Yeah, it's in this scale, but also that's a lot of view shed from the back, like, there's a lot.
Yeah,
And I appreciate why
Well, and
there's a
it-
lot, but.
well, that's the other thing. They've got this wonderful view and they
Yeah.
want to take care of it.
And the watershed is part of the
Of
right of
course.
way,
Yeah.
so.
And that's why I'm,
Yeah.
I think the front is very,
Yeah, but
Love
you even have a lot of detail, even the way you're doing the rail.
Yeah,
Like even in that picture, it's adding a lot of detail
yeah.
in the back.
these guys.
Yeah.
What's the elevation of the house?
What,
From if you take your front view,
the street is at 56. The first floor is
The top.
at 52. Oh,
Again,
sorry.
yeah, I know where you're.
Are you saying that, when you say busy,
the
the dormers
three
on the-
dormers on the top.
If
what
they
about
became-
those? What about below the facade? Do you find that busy?
I think for me. I don't know how to articulate, I'm tired. And the blonde is blocking my clairvoyance a little bit, but there's just a lot of shapes going on the top.
Okay.
And my eye is very distracted by those three
Fair enough.
dormers
Which would-
in particular, but, and I'm far enough back that I can't really see the railing, I can't see those
Well,
details.
that's what, there's railing on the side, there's railing going across. you got
I can
railing.
see the railing on the side, I can't see the railing on that covered porch.
It's very packed in this drawing.
Yeah, there's a lot there.
It's very
Okay.
packed in the drawing.
Yeah, sorry.
It's busy.
So we
yeah,
got a
it's
rail on, you walk out from that bedroom on top of the screen porch. You walk out of the main space here. And then this is the master where you walk out and it's covered.
Right, and it's down
But
below.
it's whether, I mean, and obviously you
So-
have to have railings, but is there any way it could be
For sure.
simplified?
Simplify the railing.
Yeah, and I know I harp on this, but so with the windows, it looks like there's 6/6 on the top.
Yep.
And then there are what, 12/12s on
Then
the bottom?
we're transoms with clear
Yeah.
doors.
those
And
are
then
nice.
down below, we're totally open on the lower level.
But on the side.
sides, they're larger and,
Those are 12/12.
yeah.
And then in the dormers, you have 6/6 again?
They're casements.
Oh, they're casements.
Yeah, so those were 9.
And same in the gable end of that little projection?
These guys,
Yeah.
this is, that's the same as that one with
Okay.
2 side lights.
So that's another comment that I have when people come, is that the more simplification, the more cohesiveness and the more uniformity,
Mm-hmm,
the easier it is.
sure.
it's very busy.
And when we come back, obviously, all these things will be larger scale, easier to think.
If there's any possibility of having a color rendering, I
Sure.
find those help as
Sure.
well.
Yeah.
All right, and then our elevations from the street, we are from our auto court, our height is 35.5 feet to the peak
That's the front you said?
from the front.
Okay,
So that's 35.5.
okay.
And then from the rear,
But it's going down 4 from the street, so the actual
oh,
street in.
yeah, from the street,
Street
I'm
in, if you're
31.5.
if you're driving by this, if you're driving by,
Yes,
you're seeing about 30 feet of the house,
correct.
30. That's where I was,
I understood.
And on the back? you-
Oh, and on the back, it is 52 from the pool level to the,
yeah, but that,
So it's an extra 20 something.
yeah,
yeah, because this is,
Yeah, you know,
it's a very.
I can't get away
that's
from
one
it.
math equation I can do.
Okay, Art, do you have any discussion comments?
I mean, I've caused enough trouble with that, but,
Really?
and I'm not an architect and I'm quite familiar with the house and I think what you're doing is great. It's, it's why I asked Darren, who knows more than me about this. I just say, if you compare the front to the back, there's a lots of windows in it. I'll just defer to the others. I like the simplicity more of this.
Of
Life
course,
is more, but
because the view is out the back.
Yeah, but we still have to consider it from the water.
No, I understand, but that's why there's a dichotomy between.
Yeah, I know, but we keep
So-
hearing that, but we
Staggering.
still have to say it's really.
yeah, the only thing I'd say, and I'll defer to everyone and, guys obviously know what you're doing, just maybe try to simplify it a little more. I don't,
Sure.
that's about it. I mean, I don't have as much issue with those doghouse dormers as maybe Darren pointed out, but, you're certainly on the right track.
So-
Well, I understand what you're saying. That to me is very like colonial revival. It has a
Okay.
definite vibe, like the estatey kind of
Right,
revival that you get in England and stuff. This is something else.
right.
Yeah, that's,
There's like a bit of Queen Anne in there. There's a
Yeah.
bit of colonial revival. There's some Greek revival. There's just a lot.
Yes,
I understand, but
It's a little
I hear you.
Hampton-esque.
Oh, wow.
is that an architecture?
now,
Well, I mean, I think what George is saying is we understand the pressure that you're under, but we
Yeah.
still have to have our pressure
I
and that
got
we have
you.
to stay.
Okay,
Jim?
Yeah, I get what you're trying to do, maximize the view. My question is gonna be so different because you've hit all these. I think when you started, you
They've
mentioned all the
asked
different structures on the property and you mentioned the boathouse.
yes.
Is that coming down or is that?
It's not coming down. So that is a question for you, for the group, because it's in the flood zone. And the way FEMA rules work, we can only spend a certain amount on it at a time. Would you prefer to see that in front of you as we want it to be? Even though we might not get it approved for years?
I would like to see what you want it to be
Okay.
because that gives us a basis.
Conceptually,
For where
what,
to
what
go.
they would like to do, right now, it's a one-story building with
Yeah.
kind of a sloped flat roof. They want to flatten out the roof and create kind of a roof deck there, and then just a kind of like a nice, big entertaining space there.
Are they fully revamping it or are they keeping the building and kind of
They want
restoring
to
the
keep
outside?
generally the footprint of it.
Okay,
It's just a question of how much we're
but the
going to
walls
be
would be
allowed.
totally different,
What do you mean?
the elevations. So
No,
they're keeping the footprint.
they would be keeping the footprint and potentially flattening out that little
Okay,
slope.
that's what I'm asking, if any of that
Yeah.
historic building is being weakened.
But you're not tearing it down until you get this approved
Right.
on that.
Oh,
Yeah,
correct.
fair enough.
Yeah, we're saving that as long as we possibly can, because they want it.
Yeah.
They don't want this, guy.
Mhm.
Well, yeah.
Laura?
I'm all set.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, I would just agree that the railings look a little busy, but along the middle and then the upper right where the bedroom is, I believe.
Sure,
Gets it a little
too much.
bit.
Sorry, you can use those as the back there.
I mean, the back of the house today, guys, is about as busy as that.
Yeah.
It's,
Hey, Jim,
There's that picture.
There's actually,
but he's got an opportunity to make it better.
I gotta see.
Put it away.
Every house with water is like potatoes.
Yeah, right.
But it's been
Thank-
helpful.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
For-
That's good.
And for the bonus, you got to listen to the presentation.
That one.
A vast improvement on the house.
The
Different
next,
than the one you showed me 2 years ago.
Riveting's the
Yeah.
word.
the next item, thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next item is the property located at 3113 Brunswick Road, Fairfield, Connecticut. Is there anyone here to present this?
Yes, I'm Dr. Darren Raymond Locke, and I'm here to represent the owners at 3113 Bronson Road.
And I'm Leland Torrance, I'm the builder, and I do historic restoration. You want me to hold this up?
Let's just leave it
Okay.
for a second. So this is the house. I've printed out 4 different copies of this, so we can put it around.
Is this the one we saw before?
Yes, we came for gutters and various restoration projects. The restorations are going really well. They're replacement in kinds or fixing what is there. It's a beautiful house. The front of this is one of those very difficult situations that I was asking about. So the front of the home is the historic home. The back of the home has had no less than 6 additions put on, which have each modified previous additions. So the back of the house really has no historic fabric, and there have been choices that have been made over time, which the current owners are trying to make it more, the back of the house more compatible with the historic structure, make it more cohesive, kind of roll back some of those decisions and make it kind of a nicer streamlined property that kind of is more, the back being more subservient to the front of the house. So this is where it gets a little confusing. So Leland, if you could, where, no, do the site plan first, so that I can explain more. All right, so where are we? Where's Bronson? This is Bronson.
Yeah.
Right. So this is the historic house. Right here. There's a little addition that is historic. It's 19th century.
So that's that.
That's that little addition. So
That's
can I?
edition number 1.
Yeah, can I? All right, so this is the historic house. It's late 1700s. This is a 19th century addition. Okay? Then if you want to take that picture. Sorry, this is hard to do. There's another chimney in the back behind that, which is this addition here. This was done in the 1930s by, oh my God, Cameron Clark. Now here's where it gets fun. That addition doesn't really exist because there were 2 additions here, an addition here, this addition, this addition, this addition, and this has popped out.
It's buried.
So this is buried. There is nothing left of that historic. There's no integrity there. The rest of this has been a jumble. So I'm gonna start easy. So this is driveway. So this little bump out here has been subject to no less than 4 alterations.
From my forensic investigation, yeah, I think that was redone 4 different times.
Up until the 70s, it was just a little like covered area, and then they added on half, then they added in another half, but that wasn't really enclosed, then they enclosed it, and it's ended up looking like this. That's it.
And then we have the elevations.
Oh yeah, can you pull the elevations for that, please? No, it's the other side. Here we go. It's hard to do this upside down and backwards.
You wanna go on the side? I can-
No, it's okay. Oh, if you don't mind.
Yeah, there's.
So this is how it stands now. The owners, they're putting a lot of time into restoring this very carefully. They want to make this more uniform. This setup isn't working for them. They would like to, they're eliminating that middle rod, right?
Correct.
They want
This
to,
is the proposed elevation.
yeah, this is the proposed elevation. Right now, there's an access door here They want to just move that around to the side and make it more cohesive on this and make it more accessible. Because this round window is very incongruous with the rest of the house, as is this pole. It just obviously has just been subject to modification.
Yeah, I think the way that's evolved, the addition, force renovation additions on this space, it just doesn't appear thought out.
No.
Doesn't function well.
Not at all. Not at all. So this is the existing rear right now. If you walked around this side, this is how the configuration is. This will all get simplified and the door will move here. So that they're directly off the
So
road.
this is all on the side of the house.
This is on the side of the house. You can see this from the road, but it's very like,
And this is important because the garage is behind it.
the garage is behind it. The garage is very hard to see.
Correct.
But this, to me, is a whole separate issue. We're not even touching this. The only other thing you can see from this side is this chimney. So this is the Cameron Clark addition. The windows are not original. The only remaining vestige is that chimney, which is unspectacular. It has been rebuilt since it was originally built to match this. I know we have no jurisdiction on the interior, but the interior of this has been completely ripped out. The first floor is a complete open plan except for this major chimney stack, which doesn't make that space usable. The current owners would like to remove this so that it's not there anymore. Cool. Should I move on? Any questions so far? Good? Okay. Let's go to the back. So here's another picture. Why am I not working? Here's one. This one right there.
What's the address?
3113 Bronson Road.
113, bro.
Yeah. So, sorry, I had these all correlated. Here's another one if you want to pop that down there. So, on the other side of the home, so this is on the other side from the driveway's over on this side. We have this long expanse. This is the existing. This sunroom here is a screened-in sunroom, right here. It is completely structurally compromised. There is rot on all of the posts. There's pictures here if you want to pass those around. All the posts are rotted. It needs to be fully rebuilt. The owners,
Yeah.
sorry,
No, the stucco has been there, ceiling's falling apart.
they have no jurisdiction over that.
Okay, and then there's all termite damage.
Yeah, there's termite.
And
It
how
just,
old is that?
sometime after the 70s. They want to rebuild this in kind, except instead of these archways, they want to square off the openings to make it more congruous with the rest of the house.
Can this be seen from the road?
Yes, it can, because there's just like it's not a picket fence, but it's not a split rail fence, but you can see
Yeah.
through it. So it's a picket fence. So if those trees weren't there, you'd be able to see right into the backyard. You can see this whole elevation, except for this, because this is hiding a lot of this. So this is visible from the public street. But they're going to rebuild to the same spec, except instead of these archways, it's just going to be squared off, because everything else is squared off except this little window.
Yeah.
So it will look better, it will clean this up. It's great. Then you have this wall of doors. So these were put on in 1998 without a COA, as far as I can tell. Most of this work, I have not found a COA yet. So this is that original addition that's no longer intact. They have a shed roof here and then they bumped it out, like 8 feet? Not even.
No, like 6 feet.
6 feet. Okay, so this is a 6-foot bump out. They have 3 doors here, 4 doors here, 3 doors here, 4 doors in here?
4 doors.
4 doors and then these 2 doors. This looks very messy. If you want to pass those around, those are pictures. It's just a lot of muntins with these windows. These are 6/6. You suddenly have a ton more here. Then you have the transoms, then you have beds. The current owners want to simplify it and do 4x2 doors, still keeping the like 2, 2, 2. They want to make it, we're going to have the same openings. It's just going to be different doors to once again simplify the part of the house that you can see this on.
Well, and additionally, the existing doors here are not in line with the header height of these
yes.
windows, which then we
Yeah.
maintain a linear line.
And they become like full floor to ceiling.
Yeah.
So it just cleans up that whole view. Okay, substitute materials, ready? These are really, really not very good wood Anderson doors from 1998. The doors that the owners want to use are aluminum doors that will look cohesive. You won't be able to tell from the street that they're like metal.
Aluminum clad or aluminum?
Aluminum.
So they're
So,
thermally broken aluminum doors. So like a wood door, there's a thermal bridge all the way through because you have a single plane of material.
Yeah.
These are thermally broken, so you have aluminum, insulation, then aluminum. So you're not creating a bridge for thermal transfer.
which means right now, this gets direct sunlight anytime afternoon. So this gets very hot inside. They have 3 young children. They want to make the interior space more usable. The R value of this is, I think, at a 2. This will give us a higher R value, so it's more energy efficient. And it's not original anyway, because it was put in 1998.
Yeah, that being
Without a
said,
COA.
we are restoring windows on the house that are original.
Yeah.
But there is a ton of heat loss from this entire wall of glass. And these doors are really crummy wood doors, so if the
These
owner
ones,
was
not these.
interested in having an actual energy performing door.
And it
there.
is in the back.
It's on the
On the
side.
side.
On its side.
It is visible from a public way, street or place. However, because this is so altered, I think it's actually more distracting now. It distracts from the beauty of that historic home. By simplifying it, it becomes a little bit more cohesive and a little bit more subservient.
Valid, it's just the aluminum, just trying to
Yeah.
find a way through.
Totally. I feel like for me as a preservationist, because this was done in 1998, I'm looking at it as new construction, which under Secretary of Interior standards gives us a little bit of leeway because you really should like differentiate between the old and the new, which obviously didn't happen originally, but obviously has now. So, and I think that's everything.
Yeah, that's everything.
So we're looking to gauge your thoughts before we come with the full application presenting this.
Art, any questions?
No. Wait till you hear what I have to say.
Oh, Jesus.
First of all, I think it sounds like and looks like what you're doing sounds great, but just by the address, it seems that I've lived next to this, right next to
do.
this house.
You do.
For 20 years. I have never seen this house. I have no idea.
You didn't say, when we were on site, I was like, one of our commissioners lives right there.
And I live right up the
I
street.
just texted a picture to my wife. It's like, where is this house? No.
It's at 3 houses,
Down.
3113 Bronson
Next to the
Road.
headmaster's
It's
house.
2 houses down
Yeah.
from
And-
kind of
That-
that part.
Yeah, where they're putting in the
I
ice
mean, quite
And then there's
embarrassed.
there's an art gallery. next
But
door.
you're now on
You're
public
walking.
record as saying you're.
Well, yeah, but, so I'm gonna shut up and say it looks great.
Okay, cool.
But,
Jim Accomando?
So when you're going with the new doors, new materials, that was kind of the essence of my question back to these folks. So, yeah, I like it.
Great.
What you're doing.
Pretty interesting.
Awesome.
Yeah,
More,
Maura?
Maura.
No, I mean, I think you're doing good work. I mean, the side makes all the sense to get rid of that little silly window. The porch makes complete sense. And the aluminum, if it was the front, I'd have a bigger problem, but it's the side and.
And it's far
it
from
looks
the
So
road.
much better
Yeah.
cleaned up. And your point of lining them up correctly, you don't realize it, but your eye absolutely. Good. And even the chimney,
George Clark. And even the chimney, I'm sorry.
no, chimney, I think it's potato potato.
We'll miss that
Okay,
chimney.
great.
They will miss that chimney.
You're off the commission.
Again? I think you're making the house look a little bit more planned out. And I think it looks to me like it's been band-aided.
Yes,
Definitely.
And
It's been
I sit
Frankenstein.
with you, Art. I had to drive by this house a billion times. I only lived
See,
100 yards away.
it's been Frankenstein.
but it's hard on that because it looks too.
Yeah, it looks like the
Yeah.
house has just been,
And there's no good way to get a
Yeah.
picture of it either. It's very hard.
so,
Oh, yes.
I think you got a good plan.
Great.
Great.
Nick?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a lot cleaner lines in the top drawing, lining up those new aluminum doors and then getting the arcs out of that screened-in porch and getting rid of the chimney, and it gives it a cleaner, more linear look. I'd like to see what the aluminum windows look like, or doors.
We will have the specs when we come with the full application. We will also have the report on the R value, so you can see the
Yes.
difference
Give us
between the
those
wood.
sustainability
We were trying to
things.
get it for tonight, but we couldn't get it in time. So we'll see that.
That'd be
I'll
good
give
to
you,
put that in the record.
yeah, I'll give you all the R values for this. This is 2, this is 970. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, the minor changes gives it a much cleaner.
Yeah, much
Yeah.
cleaner.
All right,
Nice show.
Thank you.
Rosina, you haven't weighed in here.
I have been to the property. I'm kind of discussed with you guys. I think it's, good. My only question, we had talked about mitigation stuff. Yes, no?
I don't think, I mean, we will go back to the homeowner and see. I've done some documentation of this. I will obviously take pictures before anything changes so that should anything extensive happen, that's unforeseen and we need, bigger measures, I can always do the mitigation documents once I have the photos. So I've been taking photos of this. Leland has to take photos for his builder trends.
Yep.
It's
Sounds good.
good.
I'm going up there.
So we'll wait to see it.
Drop it.
Yeah,
We'll wait to see it. in
You have to
October.
walk over.
Oh, with Darren, so she could play.
Guest house.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
And
thank you
it's-
guys.
yeah,
Miss you guys.
It's a free application.
No, we're not touching that.
Nice.
The next item and last item in the agenda. Thank you for waiting.
Thank you for having me.
Property located at 554 Tunsis Hill Road, Fairfield, Connecticut. Is there someone here to present this application?
There is indeed, Madam Chairman. It's John Fallon. I'm an attorney representing Operation Hope. With me tonight is our architect, who I'll introduce shortly, Mr. Phil Cerrone, Mr. Jack Maribel, who is
Hi.
our building committee chairman. Jack actually has come before you twice before to kind of give you a little update, and we're getting closer. But before we go any further, since we do have a P and Z process to go through, we wanted to come to you tonight. I want to thank the chair for putting us on this agenda at my request, which I feel guilty for doing now after seeing what you guys have been doing today. So I'm going to be brief. You all know about Operation Hope for over 4 decades, the services that we provided to this town, this community. And we only want to enhance our opportunity to continue to provide the services to our clients. We have a wonderful joint venture opportunity here that we've been working on carefully for over 2 years with the town of Fairfield. It involves the 2 properties, 488 and 554 Tunsis Hill Road. The church on that property is a designated historic structure, which brings us here. We've approached the development of the property and the needs for what we want to accomplish with sensitivity with regard to the knowledge that the church is a protected and deservedly so historic structure. So before we engage the process, we wanted to provide you with an overview of where we are now in our planning and get your input and make sure that we are on a path so that when we come back here, hopefully with our approval from zoning, for our certificate of appropriateness, it'll be in keeping with your comments and input. Phil Cerrone.
Thanks, John.
Good evening. For the record, Philip Cerrone, my office is here in Fairfield, the architect for this project. So first, I'm sure you're all familiar with the site, but just to make sure you are, this is Tunsis Hill Road. And even though the church address is on Tunsis Hill Road, the front of the church is actually here on Old Stratfield Road. This corner property is not part of our project here. This is the maintenance building that's there currently. This building is slated for demolition as part of the project. And then this is the main body of the church, which we're planning on keeping. And for all practical purposes, the exterior of the church will remain 100% untouched, except for any repair work that needs to be done. There is some repair work, but we'll be repairing it in kind wherever we repair it. There, as you know, there's an addition that was added to the back of the church years ago. So our plan is to demolish this addition that's here. Just to kind of give you, again, just a little bit of an overview, these are some pictures that are there. As part of our project, if you drive by the site, you'll see the stone wall, the railings, all of that are pretty dilapidated around the perimeter of the property. So we will repair what's there. Our plan would be to repair it in kind, right? So, because you can see, like on the corner, they're pretty well damaged, right? But the main body of the church, which is a stone structure, is in pretty good shape. This is a view of the side of the church. If you're standing in the front of it towards the right, this is the addition in the back that's going to get demolished. This is the part of the church that's going to remain. So again, you know, we'll do a little bit more research on any window repairs and things like that. But the stonework in general is in pretty good shape. This is the back of the church that you can see from the parking lot currently. This you can clearly see is not part of the historic structure that was built originally, right? And that's going to be mostly demolished. This photograph here, so this photograph here shows the main body of the church and then the entrance into the side. But just to kind of, and I'll show you, we actually have a rendering of the side, I'll show you in a minute, but this side here, from here over, will get demolished, but these doors, this door, this is all going to remain. I haven't really figured out why these are two different bricks here, but they're clearly two different bricks. It's not like, it's not a shadow or anything else. They're two different bricks, right? So, but I wanted you to see this just to see, this is what we're going to keep and this is what we're going to demolish, right? I think, actually, let me show you this. This is the proposed site plan. And I think one of the things that we are here to talk about tonight and get some verification hopefully on is what we're going to present to you when we come back for our full application, all right? So we understand this is the church. We understand we're adding an addition to the back. And it'd be my opinion that the addition to the church is under your purview. We're then building what I will call a separate building. From a building code point of view, these will be two separate buildings. This building's not on the property of the church. It's on the other property. They will be connected with a bridge. So it's our opinion that your jurisdiction will end at that property line. Okay, perfect.
You're comfortable with that?
Yes, we don't want.
Once you
more
get the
than-
answer you want, you shouldn't ask the same question.
No, but I won't. We were all.
I'm on.
Only the part of the bridge
Don't
that's
ask
on
the
your
unasked
property
question.
we want to see.
Okay, fine.
Abraham Lincoln said a lawyer never learned anything with his mouth open.
He was a lawyer himself.
Yeah. Just to kind of give you an overview of the project, right? So this is the church, as I said to you, we're not doing anything to the exterior of the church. We will be doing a little bit of work on the interior of the church, and then we will be creating some parking where there's an existing parking lot there. When you get to the next floor of the church or the addition, again, we'll be putting an elevator. We're gonna be making the whole facility handicapped accessible. It's not now at all. And obviously all the new stuff has to be accessible. We actually have 2 elevators planned for the property. But this would be the addition here on the second floor. And then there's a waiting area here. And then this is where the connector goes through to the other side, to the other building. Well, that's it. All right, well, I could just flip it this way. So this is that side of the church, right? So this is the side that we're gonna be adding on. These are those 2 doors that I explained to you before that we're not gonna be touching. We'll refurbish them because as you can see, if you go over there, this is the one area that's in pretty serious disrepair, right? Our addition is here, which is the second floor addition. And this is really the view that you're gonna mostly see. This shows it a little bit better, right? Now, this is a nighttime view, but we have a daytime view under here if you wanna see it. So the main body of the church here, which again, we're just gonna refurbish what we have to refurbish, whatever's damaged. This area here, which is a brick veneer, and the doors, again, we'll refurbish those. And then this is the second floor, which this building, as it ties into the one that's on Tungus Hill, is a clapboard siding building, asphalt shingled roofs. This roof that's on the church currently, I think is some sort of, it's either a metal or a clay tile. I couldn't really tell. It's clay tile. Yeah, it's a clay tile. So our plan would be to kind of carry that across to here. And then this becomes an asphalt shingled roof here. And then obviously we have parking underneath it. And then this tower over here at the end, we'll pick one of the two bricks that's here and try to match that brick here, all right, the best that we can. But this is really probably the best thing to look at as far as the aesthetics of what we're gonna try to be doing here. I can show you the other elevation. The only other elevation really you'll see would be this elevation here, which is from the back parking lot area. Again, the part of the church, and then this is our addition with the brick here. So essentially, our new project, our addition is gonna be this right here. And as I said, the church is gonna be what the church is. From the street side, from Old Stratfield Road, you're not gonna see anything. It might be a little part of the bridge that we'll show you if you want. But other than that, you really won't see anything from the front. And the front's gonna stay the way the front is, all right? So our entrance and all the people that come into the building will come in mostly over here or on the Tungus Hill side, because we'll have entrances on both sides, on both streets, both for deliveries and for people to come in. So that's really kind of a quick overview.
Do you have a view of that little connector?
Yeah, the
that
little connecting bridge.
You'll see a little bit.
Yeah, I don't have that rendered. Yeah, I don't have that rendered. I mean, we will for sure. I mean, for sure, we'll have it rendered when we get to that point, but we
It
don't
looked
have.
like it was on one of the other
It
ones.
was,
We
it was
saw a
on,
little bit.
it was on one of those,
Well, it
It
couldn't,
was
this,
on- No, it was on one of the drawings.
yeah.
Just a little tiny bit of it.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
We did see it.
that's that.
well, here it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There it is.
so what is that flat roof? Is that,
Although it's gonna be a sloped roof also.
it's the
Yeah,
roof?
we actually have this as a metal roof.
Okay.
We're flexible on what the actual roof material becomes.
And is it vertical siding on it?
This is vertical siding. We just decided that we wanted to make the connection different than everything else. This clapboard siding would be the same on the other. If you want to see the Tungus Hill building, I
No.
can show it to you, but it's gonna be the same. That would be the same, but we kind of wanted to have something that broke the two buildings.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah, and I
would agree.
You have questions,
I have one.
comments? Go there.
I have comments and questions. So when you're doing the repairs on the church, you know, if you're replacing in kind and you're just doing standard repair, we'll just need you to fill out a repair order. You don't have to bring that as a COA to us.
Okay.
You know, obviously, if there turns out to be something more major that you have to address, that's a different story.
So did we do that?
You can do it right on the website. You don't have to
Anything.
schedule anything with us. You can do it anytime.
Excellent.
And that would attend to the fencing too, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Unless you're replacing the fencing with something different, as long as you're replacing in kind, but repairing what is there.
Correct.
As standard maintenance, that's fine.
Right.
Which that's our plan
Right,
on the fencing and the
Great.
stone wall.
great. So on the church, you said that the roof is a clay tile or is it a terracotta? It's a terracotta.
I'm not sure.
It looks like terracotta.
How is how's the roof on it?
Our understanding, Jack, I don't know if you have any other information, is that it's fine. If not, we don't know of any current leaks.
When we
No.
did the historic designation, it looked fine.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
Or-
there's no evidence of it failing.
Right.
Okay, that, I was just curious because I've worked on a lot of buildings that have terracotta tile. And I know we just had a whole thing about it, but one of the substitutes that is very strong is cascata. And it's a one-to-one substitute.
Yeah.
Chippo really does like it, so if there was something that was failing, I was going to suggest.
So I would say to you that we're not at all planning on replacing. it.
Perfect, I love that. I love that for you.
You don't want
and I love that for us.
Leave it,
Yeah, we better be the first step.
leave it alone.
I mean, if we've run into these situations in the past, if we had to, we've always been able to find a way to get some tiles that match it to
Yeah.
fix what has to be.
Yeah, I just,
I don't think there's any damage on that roof.
Okay. I just know that sometimes terracotta roofs can be very problematic. Very problematic. The windows in the church, are they stained glass or they are?
Yeah, I mean, the ones that are along the, it's really, I mean, if you drive by it's hard to tell.
I just can't remember. I drove by it.
Well, so many trees,
Leaded
I
glass?
think, yeah, they're all leaded glass.
So-
The whole church is out.
And the stained glass is in good shape?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
The only other thing, can you pull up the rendering again? I don't know that I love, is that the color you're gonna do? It just, it's
Reflexive
very,
color.
well, yeah, it just
Here's
sticks
the
out
color.
a
That one's
lot.
at night.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can play with it. I mean, when we do these renderings, really, it depends on
Yeah.
how we shine the light on them.
We have no jurisdiction over color, but that is so,
We've got
that
to
that distracts my eye from the rest of the church. And I understand it
Recommendation.
should be,
Blend.
yeah, to,
It's
and
big.
it has to differentiate, but if there's some other fabric you can play with, even, like,
We
even
can
if.
play with the colors.
It
We
takes
need to
it
have no,
away.
yeah, the
Yeah,
texture,
fine.
there's
Instead of
something about it
making
that's very,
Idea
Instead of
to
making it
follow
less-
over, instead of having the black windows and then go to stark white.
We can go to black windows, but we don't want to go with the brick here.
no,
No,
yeah,
but-
but
Yeah.
even if, on the church, the windows have a curved top.
Exactly.
That could carry through,
Yeah.
just so that there's a nod to the historic
Yeah.
building. And it looks cohesive, but you have that differentiation. And like Maura said, I think the black and then all of a sudden the contrast with the white is a very stark difference. And I think I'm not gonna speak for anybody else here in terms of, kind of, being subservient to that historic building, honoring it. It's very my eye goes there and not
Yeah.
honoring that. So if there could be like some subtle nods to some of the architecture in the historic building, that would be great. But overall, I really like what you're proposing.
Yeah, thank you.
Art,
I mean, looks nice. I just was curious, and I think you said something about it a minute ago, that kind of beige part, what you said you don't want to go for brick there, why not?
Because I want to differentiate from the rest of this. This is the existing building here. I don't want it to feel like I'm trying to match the building, and I'll never match the building, and it'll always look different, and it'll look like a mistake.
Yeah.
So I want the addition to really be separate.
Okay, thank you.
Jim?
My question is just, I agree with what everybody said, but you just went with this, elevated second story as opposed to putting on a two-story addition. I was just wondering why.
Simple, we need the parking.
Oh, really? Even though the back parking you have, you still need these?
We probably barely have enough parking spaces as it is.
Got it.
I mean, they have the food pantry there. They have dining for 75 people at a time sometimes. So it's not a lot of people there at any one time, but yeah. So, I mean, they wanted a minimum of 75 cars there, and I don't. even
No,
think-
no problem. That's what draws my eye. That's what draws my eye to the addition more than the color pieces, that it's actually unique.
That's simply the reason we
Right.
couldn't
Okay.
put it on the ground.
And that's
We
important
just
to
don't
the
have enough.
neighborhood too. We've had a good reach out to the neighborhood, but one of their primary concerns is you got enough parking,
Got
because
it.
they worry about on-street parking.
Mhm.
Right.
Maura?
And we have reached out to the neighbors as well.
Yeah.
That's the side.
I'm agreeing with Darren. I mean, I already made my comments. I think I totally get that you're making it distinctive. This is just so beautiful. And then right now, it
I get it.
feels, so I.
Work on that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like these windows.
Yeah.
George?
I'm agreeing with Darren. I think that it looks a little,
Looks like everybody agrees.
I'm so good.
well, she's first. It doesn't have it.
Remember that, George.
So, but yeah, it's very jarring. And the building, it takes away from the beauty of the building. The building is beautiful.
Yeah, it is for sure.
And what you've done here really is beautiful.
Yeah, I
And
like-
you-
I like
You
that.
did such a nice job. I like that
We got
idea.
that one, Lisa.
I like the elevation. I do like that break where you have that
Yeah.
understory. I
Yeah.
do like that.
Yeah.
That's,
Sorry.
Does that roof step up with the addition or is that
This
flat?
one steps up a little
A
bit.
little bit?
It's a gable roof.
Actually, if that was two-story, we'd be complaining it's too big of a block. So, you
Yeah.
know, it actually
It
gives.
keeps the mass down.
yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's an interesting.
The roof steps up and then the building comes out under too? It's not flush?
The building, well, this is all the existing here.
No, I just mean the addition right at that seam, but
Right. I'm just gonna. No, our building lines up with, so our building lines up with that line straight across here.
gotcha.
Yeah.
the roof steps up.
We'll create an illusion, yeah. This roof, I mean, this roof, we have this roof just to break up, so again, so we have the break between the new and the existing. It's, probably.
I get the fact that you want it to be different, but yeah, I agree, you gotta make it, give it a nod to the historic, significance of the building that's right next to it. I think that the windows with a little arch and a little blended color would help.
Whole thing is quite remarkable.
Yeah.
I mean.
It's a beautiful building. Yeah.
Really, like what you're doing in Project Hope to make it just so classy, well done.
Yeah, I mean, we are on a budget, we're just trying to make it
I
clean,
know.
safe,
Yeah.
and practical.
I've
But
never
it is
seen-
gonna put the upside compared to what is there now, especially the DOT building, is a significant.
It's a low bar.
The
You were
column,
here.
the column that is, holding the, addition. What material are you guys, thinking, proposing for that?
So, I mean, I don't wanna, I'd hate to do real wood there, to be honest, because I just think it's gonna get really damaged, but I think it needs to be probably a good type of material, so if it could be a composite type of wood, that's what I.
Have you
prefer.
thought of maybe doing an extension to one of the kind of,
Uprights.
trusses,
Well, that's what I was gonna say, maybe brick columns.
yeah, because
I actually like the brick columns.
bringing that verticality that the church has might be,
Yeah,
yeah,
that would be nice.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like,
It's a
look
good
at
idea.
this, you have these chimneys that are like that idea, right? Like almost would be so cool.
Yeah,
No, it's
kind of
back
similar
up
to
into one of
that
those-
first bay of the church.
Yeah, I
that
think
has
they'd have
that-
to be brick versus the stone, because we'll never match that stone.
No, but yeah, but it needs to be a similar material
Yeah,
like.
and I like that anyway
Yeah.
from a durability point of view.
Yeah.
Yep.
But overall, it looks good. It kind of differentiates from the existing building, so, yeah. And, talking about your budget
Jack.
money,
Yeah,
have you guys looked into the tax credits?
Oh, yeah.
There's a state historic tax credit for groups like you, nonprofits, to put abandoned or underused buildings back into service. And it'll give you between 25 and 30% back of your hard cost of construction. I don't know how
That's-
far down the process you are,
We're not that far, but
but look into it. I
we'll
would
look
suggest.
into it. We've looked into we're doing work at the Avon Theater in Stanford, which.
Oh,
is-
yeah.
So
Oh,
we've got all different kinds of grants there, some of them higher hands, so.
The state tax credit will tie your hands less than a grant.
Very good. So,
can you repeat that? That's the historic.
It's the state, so Julie Carmelik is the one who oversees that.
And what department is she in?
She's in SHPO, State
In
Historic
SHPO.
Preservation Office, yeah.
Right.
She will give you a list of qualified consultants that can help you.
Mhm.
It's this, what is it called? It's just the state historic tax credit.
What
And I-
was her name again?
Julie Carmelik, Carmelich.
Okay.
And her email, I think, is julie.carmelik@ct.gov.
Yeah, great.
It's worth looking into, there's no question about it.
I'm doing one for another nonprofit and they're getting, their budget's like 12 million, they're getting 3.5 back.
Well, that is.
It's it can-
Got your attention.
Yeah, it can be significant. I mean, you're gonna have a little bit of an added
Oh, there we
cost.
go.
Yeah, this is it. I don't know if you're gonna qualify for the 30%, you might. It's gonna be, you know, they have to make sure that you're doing right by the historic building. They have to, if you're changing plaster
Yeah.
ceilings, they're gonna have something to say about it. But if you're maintaining the general integrity and just doing historic preservation mostly, you should be fine, but it should also help you with the extension and putting that building back into service in a way that suits your needs.
Did they take a preservation easement? I know you.
No.
They, as in some of the other programs? Yeah, okay.
This is tax credit, it's something totally different.
Right, okay.
So
It's not
Julie,
like an HR.
Julie's part of the state historic rehab tax credit.
Yes.
What, is
She's
there
for
a
this SHPO,
We
the
can
State
pull that
Historic
right up.
Preservation Office.
SHPO?
That's the name of what she does. That's the name of the credit.
That's her name.
That's her name.
Historian.
Yeah, she's a
Take
historian.
a picture of that.
Yes.
Yes, well, that's a great idea.
Good idea.
Thank you.
And she'll have a list of people she'll write to you.
I'm sorry.
Great.
My name is Philip Cerrone, Cerrone.
I do them. I hate doing them. Don't ask me, but I can tell you who's good.
Yeah. That's great. Is that a reimbursement? We spend the money?
Yes, it's reimbursement. So that's the one bad thing. But it's worth getting
Yeah.
back that money,
No question.
you know.
Thank you very
Especially
much
if you're in
for
the
that.
millions, yeah.
Really helpful.
Absolutely. And if you can't get in touch with her, I can send you all the information while you're waiting.
Would they
Oh.
give her, would she give them an idea if they gave them like the basics of it, of whether it's worth it for them to apply? Or does she require the whole application to even give them an opinion?
She can have a first, a base conversation. I would suggest you have a consultant who knows how to do this, have that conversation.
And she can give us
With
some
the-
things.
So
Right.
she, yeah, there's a whole list
Yeah.
that she'll give you, or she'll just turn around and say, these 5 people are the only ones doing it in the state, or whatever the case may be.
Terrific. Well, thank you again.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, comments?
Inserts.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you all
everybody.
very much.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We all-
Thank you again.
That's.
Thank you all very much.
Work.